So you know where they're talking about is Black History Month relevant, or is it just the token gesture? Yeah. So
to me, as I said, it's a bit of both. I have to. I don't really like sitting on the fence, but I have to sit on the fence on this one because, as I said, you know, we are living in a white majority country, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So
we're in the West.
You know, as I said, places like Jamaica having Black History Month don't make no sense to me. Mm-hmm. Why they're doing it. I don't know why they just don't teach the proper Black history as they should. You understand? Over here, I can see why it happens.
Yeah. For us, it's better to have a little than nothing.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't mean much. To me, it doesn't really mean anything to me because obviously, you know, black history and black man power struggle and strength should be done. It should be organized all the time. We should all be on that mindset anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned. You understand?
Yeah.
But as I said, I'm not going to lick a man down for doing it because, as Skip said before, I remember when there was a time when we never had nothing like that, and we never had anything, and we didn't have any role models, and we didn't really see ourselves in a positive light. Mm-hmm. You know, just Trevor McDonald, Lenny Henry, that was it. You know what I mean? So I remember the darker days, innit? So I'm not really gonna like.
But it's like why. It's the same reason. It's the same reason, Mark. Like I said before earlier, that's why most people are just happy with that, because they can just remember a time when there wasn't even that.
Yeah.
Even though, like you said, and like Mark said, it should be 24/7 for us. Really.
I think Black History Month started for us here in the UK in about 1987, but it was supposed to be started from 1875 by a guy named Carter G. Woodson, isn't it? Yeah, in the US,
in America,
in America, who started it obviously in his community and then tried to get it into schools and that, and it was a Black History Week, which it eventually expanded to a Black History Month. Yeah. But in the UK, it was supposed to have come to the UK in what, 1987?
Yeah, 1987. They're saying.
Yeah, because I don't really remember it. I don't really remember it in the 70s or the early 80s. I don't know if anyone else can remember. I don't know. Blaps, can you remember? Is Blaps there?
Yeah, the start for me with the Black History Month was when they started talking about we're not going to just teach about slavery anymore. We're going to actually say where we came from, where we all came from.
What year was that, Black? Do you remember?
Well, it was about, like you say, it's about 1987. But because I was not in school at this point, I was in college.
Yeah.
So I heard of the Black history, and I was like, my first reaction was, why? What's the point? You know what I mean? Because I loved history at school, and I had my dad would have to be called out in religious education and history lesson. My dad had to come to the school twice because of my disruption.
Where did you go? Blacks?
Leland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you remember learning
with all the sovereign crew and thing? You know.
Yeah, because you're a little bit older than me, right? So did you remember learning anything of Black history otherwise than slavery? I think a little bit about Martin Luther King. I think I might remember.
Not even that. Not even that.
I think that's as far as it went.
No, especially
so coming forward. What about you? What about you being here, Skip? What about when you was in school?
When we was in school. Sorry, we're coming back to you, Blacks. But when I was in school, like now I hear they teach about slavery. They'll speak about Mary Seacole. They'll speak one and two other things.
Martin Luther King.
It's funny that Blacks just said. Blacks, did you just say that in history and religion, your father had to come to school twice because you're being disruptive in those classes? But with me, if you did say that, with me, that's what it was. In history
Yeah,
And
because I told
religious education,
my dad told me.
I saw nothing of myself in these, nothing of my family, and they're taking us back, you know, hundreds of years, but they're not showing me nothing. When it comes to religious education, I'd say like, okay, it looks like everyone's been given a God. Where's our God? I'm told to be quiet.
Yeah,
You know,
I used to catch up in an argument with man in class, you know. I'm a Rory. I used to catch up in an argument with him about the black man and our position and where we started from, and all the time.
Yeah.
In religious,
so was there any
studies?
Was there any? So did you be taught about slavery, blacks?
They showed us the generic picture of all of us in the slave ship. The places that we were delivered: Brazil, Jamaica, America, parts of England. And they said our participation in history was that was it. That's when we began 400 years ago. So my dad taught me proper history because we had all these books, like I always say. We had hundreds of books in our yard. So with religion, with history, they were my subjects, right? English, maths, obviously. But like when it comes to Black History Month now, when that started, I was like, why? It should be black. Well, this is what I do in the CDMA now, my Community Development for Martial Arts, my group. We teach Black Prosperity Month. So we show where we're prospering in the world and what we're doing to prosper as Black people. So anytime that we talk in that month, we're saying, where do we prosper this year? So it always is. You're either struggling, striving, or thriving. And the poorest are always struggling. The middle class, if there is one, is always striving. You know, one or two paychecks away from poverty, and thriving are the people that are running things. We're producing for the people that run things.
Got it. Yeah, that's right.
So in your opinion,
when we do the CDMA, and we teach about productivity, we produce in sport, in entertainment, and killing each other. So we always try to start the fourth one, which is excel in business. Okay, so we get recognized as business people first, rather than killers or sportsmen or musicians, you know, rappers, basically. So that's what I deal with in the History Month. I don't call it Black History Month, I call it Black Prosperity Month.
So do you think Black History Month is relevant, or it's just a token gesture?
It's well, it has to be there. I mean, I think the famous person that said was what's his name? The guy with the voice, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman
said what do you? He was talking to a Jewish person. He goes, "Do Jews have a Jewish month?" And he said, "No." He goes, "Do English people have a English History Month?" No. So why do I want one? Why do you think I want one? You know what I mean? History is Black history.
True.
History, it should be named Black History, and simple. That's it.
Yeah.
Simple thing. Well, if you're going to call it World History, fine. Lead with Black people. Where did we come from? Samaria, Egypt, all the way Israelite, if you want to call them Israelite, and then modern times. I mean, what did we give to humanity as a people? We gave everything. We did everything first. So, you know,
we shouldn't settle for just Black History Month. Then it should be freaking the whole year, mate.
Yeah. It's just, what are we doing this year? Who are the people that are doing the main productivity? How did they get there? How can we get there in a quicker manner?
Right.
What can we learn from their mistakes? Whoever is successful at what they're doing, how can we learn from their mistakes and not repeat failure?
All right, Blacks. Let me just ask Norman. Norman, you there?
Yes, sir.
Well, go on, bud. You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Evening, evening to all.
Yeah, how do you feel about the topic?
Well, I'm listening.
Do you think Black History Month is relevant, or is it just a token gesture?
Well, it came as, I agree with some of the people on the line that it does seem like a token. But when I remember even Black history, you're going back in the 78, 76, or even, no, earlier than that, I would have said, even before my first year, yeah, 68, 69, you know, and Black Panthers, and they mentioned about Black history, that basic of that American guy that brought it out was to educate them about Black history. We take it as other things at the moment and we use that. So it's using it in all different concepts, you see, at the moment in the modern times that we live because of what we've gone through and everything like that. But even at the Panthers, they just took it as an education about Black culture, history, if you understand what I'm saying. And, you know, it was what it was. The racism was there and everything else. Do you know what I'm saying? So Black history to me, as what I know it, it was about the history. Now it's involved in a lot of things about BLM and all of this. And yeah, it does seem like a token in a way. You know?
Abdul, what do you think? I know you joined late, but what do you think? Is Black History Month relevant or is it just a token gesture?
Relevant for the new generation of our Black children. It is relevant. Because if they look at history, then they feel lost again, like how, even though we didn't know the whole of our history, we only knew what our parents taught us and grandparents, and we just understood what we understood.
But are they teaching us the true history?
Relevant. It is relevant.
It is relevant to the rest of our generation. It is very relevant.
Of course, it's relevant because there's a lot of people.
It's relevant.
Sorry,
like,
there's a lot of people out there that do not know.
If we forget our history, we're doomed to repeat
1 minute, Blaps.
1
minute, Blaps. 1 minute. There are a lot of children out there not getting taught and do not know their history. So yes, it's relevant, yeah, for them. And I suppose it is for let other people know.
As who he is.
But to also let other people know.
Relevant to another person of a different culture or whatever. But it is relevant to oneself.
It's relevant for oneself, but it's also relevant for others for them to know. Even if they decide they're going to partake or watch the movie or watch this or watch that, it's relevant for other countries and cultures to know. Abdul Mohammed.
Yes. I've often thought Black history is more like, as it says, token gesture. It's just like a snippet of history, really. It's just a snippet of history, really. It's a very, in a way, it's very, I don't know, it's kind of an insult, really, as I said, because, and it's always about, and it's not really British Black history either. It's more or less like American history we're talking about, like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or people like that or whatever,
But it's much more than just that. It's Black history. It's part of the history. Irrelevant to how we may look at it, we have to balance it and see the sense and the nonsense, if you understand, because there's always sense and nonsense in all societies.
But you have to also look at who actually gave us this history and why we are accepting it the way it is. You see, because when I look at Black History Month, I say to myself, we're not the one who actually came up with this kind of a narrative of what our history is all about. It's not us who came up with it. Because if it was up to us, we'd actually have it throughout the year, and it'd be much more broader than what we're getting.
So when you say who gave us this history, you mean who's actually laying on the information about throughout the month, yeah?
Yeah, it's all to appease the power that be, really. It's all to actually make them feel better in themselves that they've given us a snippet of what we are, of what we are. You see, you have to realize who actually runs. You know, who actually runs the entire.
They would have to just spoon feed us, because at the end of the day, if they gave us the full history, we'd understand more as a people who we are, what we've done, what we've done. You know, what they've put out there. You know, saying that these things are even coming from alien technology and all. A lot of these things come from human, Bridget. So if they really gave us the full history, yet still our reality, a lot of our reality would be what it is today. They know that would churn up the fire in us, man. They'll churn up the fire, just like they created the police force to catch runaway slaves, and know that when the slaves find out, you know, that they took out all our stuff, they knew we'd come back for it. They created the police force to protect the slave masters. Do you understand? If they give us too much, they know we're going to wonder how come we are living the way we live.
There was one year, quite recently, I'm talking about this century, 2000, I think, 5, where we got funding to provide it was an award, basically a prize for finding in Black History Month, to find the best story about Black history in the community, or depending on whatever aspect in the world, whatever it was. A lot of people came out with who invented popcorn, who invented peanut butter, you know, all them time, who invented traffic lights, who invented the elevator, escalator. You find out all these
the
hundreds
monkey
of
wrench, all of that.
Invented internet, mobile phone, fast internet, everything going on computers.
I think the black woman that made iPads, I'm sure she's still alive.
The actual prize was, we give you a DNA test and we send you to where the DNA test is.
Okay, that's good.
To find your African history and to go and find the people that you came from. So
that's good.
Ghana, for instance, we're sending out Ghana.
That's
so
good.
we got 1,100 quid, I think it was, and we gave DNA test. It cost 90 quid, and then we sent on the person that won it, and it was Ghana. So it was.
Was it someone who local won it?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, in the
that was all documented as well, that we did that. It's all documented. When we were down with Marsh Farm Community Development Trust, it's all documented in their newsletter.
I think the thing about the Black History Month, I mean, there's a lot of movie makers, people that they get to shine in a little time where, you know, in the month, and filmmakers
sorry, let me cut you there, Skip, but no disrespect to some of the movie makers, but what are they showing us when they're making their movies of Black people?
Right. Well, that in itself is another argument.
It's always
they need to be
civil rights mostly,
or violence? Nothing educational.
Exactly. That's my point.
Is there?
All
right,
we're not shown in a positive light.
Is there anything positive to take out of it in October, though? That's what I want to know. Is it something we should discuss
well, I was gonna,
from next year, or is it something that we could?
Let me just answer first, and quick, I'm like you, Mark. I'm on the fence with it, because, like I said, it's better to be given something than nothing. But at the same time, it's not enough. You know what I mean? It's not enough. And for a start, it shouldn't even just be in October. This should be consistently, you know, taught through the year, especially in schools.
In schools,
you understand?
Well, that's basically where it stems from. It was the educational purpose of a Black person's history.
But is it changing the mindset of our Black youngers, though, with what they teach us? in October,
but
even
you
though
see
I
what it
agree
is?
that it's better to have something
I
than
would say
nothing.
no, it isn't. I would say no, it isn't, because the history lesson that we've been taught, that has been done on film, that is the most prevalent, the most remembered, is roots. I remember
Yes.
being at school
Yes.
and being called Kunta Kinte and wanted to be thumping people down.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Right?
right. That's right.
So we
I
need
shouldn't
a
laugh.
different one. I've never seen a good narrative or series about the history of Black people, like from Egypt times. That would be wicked. There would be just like Pharaoh would be Ptolemy 1 or Ptolemy 2.
Yeah.
And
You know, it's
Just
funny you
have-
say that. Yeah, it's funny you
and just
say
have
that.
a history going on every week.
Yeah,
Or about-
there is a movie out there
Yeah.
like Black Jesus and then thing there.
yeah.
And I've
Do you
seen
know,
them
you're
and
talking about movies, right? I was speaking with General Saint when I was at the funeral of Drummies, right? And he was telling me, he showed me as well some of the clips that he's working on. He's, you know, he wrote his book, right? But he's actually doing a movie, but it's in like 2060 or 2080 in the future. And it's like Star Wars, or kind of, but it's warriors. And he said it's supposed to be Jamaica, and he showed me the clip, but it looks like somewhere else, you know, in time. But the storyline is based.
Can I just interject there quickly before we bring, because I know our resident historian is in the house. Yes, Desmond.
okay, yes, Desmond.
But yeah, what Blap said, I think, is very relevant. I think very important, because I've said so. I probably said it on his platform before. I didn't know Black people came from Africa, right, until I saw Ruth.
Right.
I didn't even know Black people were slaves. So there you go.
Right, but you see, that's
so,
why.
So and you know, so it
sorry,
shows you how important.
That's why. That's why it's so important. That's why it's relevant.
Yeah,
because some children do not know.
Yeah,
no, but imagine,
I know everybody's got like a Desmond who they can ring up.
No,
if
but
I'm
you
stuck
see,
on something,
right,
I know I could ring up Des, I could ring up Black, I could ring up anyone.
Said, Warwicker,
yeah,
because like the way you concepted it, if the youth of today are not educated on it, they will have the same concept.
Yeah. Des, what do you reckon?
Well, before we start, sorry I missed out a little bit because I had another Zoom meeting, but
no worries.
This idea of Black history, we have to remember, it's not, and I quote, it's not African history. Black history is to do with the trafficking and enslavement of the African people, and those who were taken to the Caribbean were institutionally became Black in 1661 when the Parliament of Barbados designed what was commonly known as the Black Code. And it was a way of separating indentured white Europeans from
Mulatto,
Africans.
Quadroon.
Pardon?
Mulatto, Quadroon, Sambo.
Yeah, it's segregated because the enslavers were few and the enslaved were many. And the European indentured labor was just a step above the enslaved African. And they did the same work, ate the same food. And when the enslavers saw that this was about class, they decided to use the race thing, because until then it was class. So when race became institutionalized in Barbados, the system was then transported to Carolina, where it was instigated, and that is what formed the basis of this idea of Black people, because there were Germans, Irish, Scottish.
That's right. That's right.
But when they constructed Blackness, all these people became white, and white carried a certain amount of privilege because it meant you ate better than the enslaved African. This is why when they talk about make America great again, it was to create the division or the hierarchy where regardless of the white person's status in life, they would be better off than a Black person. because the black person was not deemed to be human. Now, when it comes to Black History Month, we have to go back to Carter G. Woodson, who was the second African American, as they call them, to have gained a PhD after W.E.B. Du Bois. And he was a member of the American History Society, and he was a paid up member, but because he was black and segregation was rife, he couldn't attend their conference. So he decided that there should be some recognition of the contribution of Africans in the Americas and their contribution. So he decided to form what is then called the Black History Week. And from that, it became the Black History Month, and it's now recognized in America as February. It was then copied in Europe or in Britain and adopted as the month of October. And it's merely to highlight the achievement of Africans in the diaspora who have been defined as Black, because we've moved away from language, religion, social class to what is called now institutional racism. So as long as you're defined as Black, then you're still at the bottom of the heap. And it's to show that we've made contribution in spite of being excluded.
Good
And
point.
it's not the same as African history, because African history is the original history of the planet.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I Google it, and it says this national celebration aims to promote and celebrate Black contributions to British society.
Yeah.
And to foster an understanding of Black history in general. Its origins go back to the 1920s and the establishment of Negro History Week in the United States.
Yeah, Carter G. Woodson.
Yeah,
he
so
was
you're
the
right
main
there.
instigator.
Yeah, so you're right there. It's
And
about
when he died, he left. He is recognized as an American icon, and he left his house to the American Library, I think.
right.
And he left over some thousands of books and articles that he accumulated. And the point was, he was opposed by people like W.B. Du Bois and the NAACP.
So go
he
ahead.
was also a supporter of Marcus Garvey until Marcus Garvey had a meeting with the Ku Klux Klan. And he then divorced himself because he used to contribute to the Negro world. Because he was a Pan-Africanist, Carter G. Woodson.
So why did him and W.E.B. Du Bois fall out then?
Well, he opposed him because he said there shouldn't be no Black history. It should be all American history.
Oh, okay.
But the argument is there's a difference between Black history and African history, isn't there?
Yeah, and there's
That's
a
the bottom
difference
line.
between white American history and African American history because they have different experience. Yeah, so even though you may be a working class, it is the race in which you experience that class. So if you're a poor Black man, you're worse off than a poor white person.
For Black history, as you said.
Is it relevant, Desmond, then? What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's well relevant because
October.
it is a sense of we have a story. And if you don't know your story, then you will be talking about his story. Now, I am a strong believer in our story.
Our story.
Because when I've been taught a lot about his story, but I've had to learn about my story. And this is why I'm writing a historical fiction, because a lot of the narrative that has been told is about the hunter. But I want to tell the story of when the lion the hunter.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's always from that perspective, isn't it? It's always from that.
Yeah, it's all about changing the narrative. We have to
Yeah.
change the narrative. It's not his story.
It's our
Because
story.
he monopolized it.
Yeah.
It's our story.
Yeah, but they want my story to remain a mystery.
Well, they want to exclude it. They don't want it to be a mystery. They want to bury it. And if we go along with that and keep talking about their eras and everything, like I wrote a poem once, and it says, I was wondering what I was doing at uni once. And I said, well, they taught me about Captain Cook was a great adventurer and discoverer. But I learned that he was a damn thief. You know, they taught me about Columbus, but I learned about this genocide in the Americas. So
Right.
they teach you something, but then you have to learn your own story because they're not going to tell you.
Yeah. So another question is, as important as Black History Month is, do you think that we should be happy with just a Black History Month?
Well, for me,
it started as a week.
Our story is every day because every day I research. So I'm not interested in depending on somebody to tell me my story because how is somebody else going to tell me my story?
Yeah,
it's
but then we still make up numbers here in the UK, even though we're the minority, and our kids are going to school and not being taught of themselves. Of course, you can say, well, it's for the parents to impute that knowledge on them, but at the same time, the way they've set up this system and got, you know, people trapped up in this rat race and fighting just to keep roof overhead, food on the table, clothes on their back. You know, they take your kids for the most hours of the day from influential ages. They've got you 8 hours of the day. You know, you understand? Got mum and dad trapped up in the rat race. Got some minds lost along the way because of the miseducation and all of the rubbish. Is it only the parents' responsibility since they've made it law that you have to bring your kid to school? We're Black people. When I went to school, I could learn Urdu. I could learn obviously French, German, Spanish, but I'm saying Urdu. There was, what was there, Bengali, Skip? I think there was Bengali in our school. There's
they would teach it in religious studies, Religious studies.
Because you're learning his story.
You should have learned Urdu, B. You should have learned Urdu, bro.
Afghanam hai.
But come on, man.
Afghanam hai. Afghanistan hai.
This brother's
okay. I think it should be mandatory.
No, but get it serious again, yeah? Is it enough? Like I said, they force you to put your kid in their schools. So
I have to stop you.
They're practically responsible.
No, that is not correct. They do not force you to send your child to school. That is a voluntary thing that you do.
I do enough homeschooling for children.
Yeah, I mean, that's a debate about that. But I'm saying you're not forced to because under the law, I think it's the Children's Act or the Family Act. I'm not quite remember at the minute. It's a parent responsibility to educate their child. So if you can't do it, the state will provide you with a minimum. That's what it does, and from that minimum.
Yeah, but come on, Desmond, man.
I deal with the truth. I deal with the truth.
That is the truth. But that is the truth. But the system's set up the way it's set up. You understand?
To maintain power in the hands of the few.
Parents have to go out there and earn. Parents have to go out there and earn money. How many? So you're saying that a parent?
But Marvin,
no.
Marvin,
it's not a system. Our generational wealth has been taken away from us. That we're not. Most of us or a lot of us are not in the situation to do this, my brethren. So in this time here where we are, it's either you go and work and look it for yourself, or you sit at home, teach your kids, and stay on benefit. Where's the wealth that is going to keep the roof overhead, keep food on the table, clothes on our back, and allow parents to provide education daily to your kids? Where?
Marvin, what you're saying is absolute. Marvin, what you're saying is absolutely true. They've got the youths and they can teach them what they want. And what is more insidious than just teaching them a little bit of like you say, Urdu and Punjabi maybe, but right? What I didn't get none of that. I just got French and German. You know what I'm saying? But now because now we're 80% in Luton, 80% Asian, now Urdu is being taught in most schools because most schools got Asian people in it. So now but their parents want them to teach them Arabic. They want them to learn Arabic. So they take them to a private school Saturday. What we used to do as Black people were taken to, well, my auntie was part of the One Foundation when it was running. Now the CDMA, my academy, has real education, which is done on Saturdays and online, and it goes out to all parents that are involved their children in online education.
These are things that I've even said, Blacks.
I'm running my point. So when it comes down to the education, it's more insidious. They want you to learn in a public school how to be a productivity, to produce.
That's right.
To become a worker.
Yes.
To be a worker.
Understand how to take orders.
Yeah. It's not about teaching them to be CEO.
And just to reinforce that
in grammar schools and private schools, they're teaching them how to lead.
Yeah, that's right.
Just to reinforce that point, Block.
Yes, but how many
of
one
us
at a time,
guys. One at a time.
Go on, Desmond.
Yeah, just to reinforce the point Blabs was making there. I was doing a bit of vigilating just before the pandemic. And if a child was asked a question on their paper and it says, tick the correct, if they were given multiple choice, and it says, tick the correct, tick one of them, or tick the one you think is right, whatever it may have been. And if they put anything but a tick, they would fail, even if it was right. Because the question was to instill in them to follow instruction.
Right.
Because it's not about the school basically does not educate the child.
That's the agenda, isn't it? That's the narrative.
No, I mean, because so many parents do not understand why the schools are there, then they have a misconceived idea of what the schools are.
Yeah,
now, schools are there.
Again,
hold on.
Right, schools are there to pass on government agenda, which is since 1988 has been in the form of the national, what you call nationalist curriculum. What is best for this country? That is why they got business and so forth involved, so that business can say, for instance, we want more carpenters. So instead of teaching you academic stuff, they might teach you basic maths and English skill, so that you can become a good plumber or a carpenter to get jobs.
Or you might have woodwork in your course.
Yeah, so basically the education system, what should have been about developing the individual and provide and equipping them to do a job. Now, they've forgotten about developing the individual. So they don't tell you about social or political things. They teach you about work. It's all about being a good product, being a good worker.
It's a worker bee.
That's right.
And then if you have the potential, if you as a working class child who went to school has certain potential, they used to have the 11 plus, where they would select you out and then give you a different type of education. But nowadays they do that in a different way, where they say, well, if you can pass the maths and science and all that at a higher level, you can then go on and do your A levels and then go on to university. But so many people are going to universities that they're now trying to restrict it by making it more expensive. So even for those who are capable from the working class masses, are finding it increasingly difficult. So they're forced to go into the labor market where they learn on the job.
Well, they only teach you enough for you to be able to do the job, isn't it?
To do the job, yeah.
Not to own the company.
No, they're not going to teach you that, because that's part of the hierarchy.
But wouldn't that boil down?
This is why we have to run more academies. We have to run more academies.
One at a time, guys.
Hold on a minute. But wouldn't that boil down to the individual? Because if the individual himself wants to know, he wants to go further than that, and he knows of that, it'll be the individual who will educate himself towards that direction. Because
we all need help. We all need help.
I mean, that's why you see it.
You wouldn't rely on to, you know, the system, but you see, as an individual, you can't say it like that. You understand? You've got to take it as an individual. Will say, well, I want to progress and go to university. I'm going to take my exams. I'm going to pass it. I'm going to do.
But are there no obstacles? Are there no obstacles that the system?
I don't understand what you're saying, my man, because like if you're telling your own child, you should build a mindset to become a worker. You should build your mindset to become.
No, I'm not talking about work.
Wait. Wait. Let me make. Oh, if you're educating if you're telling your child, you should have the mindset of a worker, a mindset of an entrepreneur, or a mindset of a leader. That will determine what they say. Oh, I want to go to college then, or I want to go to uni, or I want to just start my own business. So it's good. You give the mindset to the child, and then whatever education they got, they work with that. Because
Right. So that's what I'm trying to say.
School and become multi-billionaires. You know what I'm saying?
No, but that's the individual.
But they got the entrepreneur mindset.
It doesn't matter if a person's had high education or not. It's an individual person's mind, and
well, it's always that. It's always that. But what I'm saying, if you're going to an academy, you can teach them to have the entrepreneurial mindset and to lead.
Yeah.
And so they can do it in any way, shape, or form they want by having a superb job or to have a superb.
I look at it like this: as an individual mind of a person, right? It's your new education yourself in all different aspects, because I could have a certain degree of education and I think it's great. And I've been in jobs, right, where I've seen guys come in and they've got qualifications from the tip here right up to here. But when it comes to doing it, I have to show them, I'm wondering to myself, how? He's got all these qualities he's supposed to know. But because he's not had practical, or the individual person's not had the mind like that, the person like me, may I say, to him, it's a big difference. So in education, when you get some education or not, I think it's an individual person that's got excel himself, whether it be in anything that he does in life.
I hear that, Noel, but I do think it's down to the parents at the end of the day to
educate
them, because you can't rely on the system to
at a young age,
educate your children about history.
Oh yeah,
but then a lot of our parents were
education and have people. Look, if you can seek certain things that is not right, right, you know that yourself, so you know how you have to operate as a person to be better than that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe not as a young person coming up though.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, but that's why
the parents are going to guide you, isn't it?
Skipper said, as parents, we should educate our kids so they have a set mind similar like that. They absorb it fast. They can know how to react. And it is the upbringing. I agree with what Skipper says. It does come down to the parents.
Didn't most of our parents, 1 minute, Norms, didn't most of our parents encourage us to go to school, but to get a job?
Yes.
But to get a job, how many of our parents? How many? 1 minute, Norms. 1 minute. How many of our parents encouraged us to, become your own boss, go and run your own business? How many? How many of our parents taught us our real history? Most of us. 1 minute, Norman. 1 minute, my brother. 1 minute, my brother. How many of our parents taught us of our real African history when most of them were Christians anyway? You understand? So it's easy for you to say, every individual, which is right, for, understand who they are, what they are, and go university and rare. But have they been given the right knowledge, whether it's even from the parents and definitely not from the schools? Are there not obstacles in our young black boys and girls' way within the school system? My daughter's 12. Daughter can tell me of how the school teachers deal with her. My son's also. Do you understand? So you're going on like we've got a paved road to go through and become this.
I'm not saying that.
Desmond said.
Given the opportunity Desmond says, right? Given the opportunity that one has today, even though there's obstacles, there was obstacles at all times through even our parents' generation. Do you understand what I'm saying? they will educate you about their past and how they had to go through and what it was like. So all what you hear today, now you can relate to some of what they were saying. Because
what Norman is saying is like the first generation, even the Windrush generation, the first generation that came over here, they all clambered together to find the like of them. You know,
they did.
That's how you normally do it when you go to a
warrior
party.
and surviving.
You fight, you're surviving. So now when you get them all together, it's saying, like, we have to teach, they're teaching our children some rubbish in school, right? We have to make sure we got our little foundation and our churches and our little businesses clumped together in our community and our youth centers and all that kind of stuff. When it was first in Luton, when I was a youth, it was solid. But now growing up,
what broke that up? What broke that up, Blacks?
Well, growth, just age. 30 years on, we got third generation coming in, and they're grown up in this. They're going to school like we can't afford to do it no more. We got to go to work. So they've made it a struggle. We're in the struggle. So now when we're in a struggle, we have to say, all right, you go to school, that's your struggle. I go to work and provide for you. So you can grow up healthy.
I never used to be
just to finish off, Norman, real quick. Going back to your old point, I was grown to be a soldier, a warrior, to fight on a battlefield. That's what my dad was pointing out. But part of that journey was to make sure that I had my education, so they couldn't fail me there. You know what I mean? I didn't fail myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my dad was always about reading, writing, arithmetic like everyone else is, but
my mother is the same.
But ranting.
Can I just say that that when I was at school, like, you know, I couldn't really understand educating system. You see, perhaps it's because I had my own. Maybe I wasn't really aware of it, but I had my own. To be myself, just to be myself, like, you know, I didn't really want to be educated on the terms of what the school was offering, like, you know. So they classified me as being they put me in a special in a special class, you know, where I wasn't bright enough to actually go along with the other people who were, you know, more bright than I was. He didn't mean to. He didn't really mean to say that I was, you know, backward or anything. It's just because I just couldn't understand the education system. I come to the conclusion now. It isn't because I was backward. It's because I just couldn't understand the way they were actually, you know, the program of the school. You see. So I mean, I was more practical more than anything, like, you know, like say playing football, stuff like that, or cricket or whatever, like, you know. So what's wrong with Blacks? What's wrong with Spencer? What are you laughing for? What's wrong?
Nothing, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's something. Come on, tell me what's on you. What are you laughing for? Come on, tell me.
No, I was looking at something on the phone, man, and then that made me laugh. Go ahead, man.
All right. Yeah, so so as I said, school education system, the school system is not about education. It's about giving. It's about giving you. It's about installing in you, programming you in order to actually serve.
That's right.
When so you it's order to serve you know, the establishment. Really.
Yeah. So as a child, then you basically rebelled against that. Then that's what you're saying. As a child, you something that you recognized in you that just didn't agree with what they was dealing with.
They would probably have called me ADHD or whatever in them days or whatever.
Yeah, but can I make a real quick suggestion? Okay, we're going to talk about history. We talk about the present, but we need to talk about the future more often. And it's kind of obvious by going about what this conversation has gone around to. The education, Black history, the education of our history, our story into our community and our people. So it's kind of obvious that we should have our own school. We should have our own school that our kids go to.
Yeah, but of course, because as it says, because the thing is, we should be a protected class, really. Anyway, I think we should be.
Stop it.
You see? Because yeah,
Protected from what?
Because we are not the majority in this country, are we?
It don't matter. When the European went to Europe, they weren't the majority. When they went to the Caribbean, they weren't the majority. So what are you talking about? It's always a minority that rules.
In the situation we're
when the
in,
Normans came to Britain,
we're in a situation where we are the underdog.
Nah, that's just an excuse.
We haven't got the we have been programmed to actually be the underdog.
Stop them rubbish. Stop them thing there. You see,
that's where we make a mistake when we think like that.
Yeah. I agree with you, brethren. Because
I'm not saying the Europeans,
that would throw us 10 years backward.
No, one at a time, people. One at a time. Take your time.
I mean, you have to realize this. Parents go along with it as well. Like from a very early age, when they send you to school at the age of 5. Where you're susceptible to all kinds of doctrines.
Yeah, but Abdul, I have to question some of your thought process, because you see, you're not looking at history. We're talking about history, and you're supposed to learn from history. Yeah. When the Europeans went to Africa, they were a small minority. When they went to the America, they were a small minority. So, not because you're a minority doesn't mean you don't have power or influence. It's how you treat each other that gives you that power. Because if you're united against a mass of opposition, you become stronger. And this is this is where imperialism was put into play. They educated their boys in a certain way of thinking in their private school, and they were educated to be colonial masters. So when they went into the so-called colonies, they behave a certain way and maintain a certain cohesion between them, so that they were able to pacify a vast majority of Africans or Indians or wherever.
They were taught to lead and rule, isn't it?
We're still carrying the enslaved mentality, because we're always looking for others to give us. Mm-hmm. We're always relying on somebody else. We came to this country when the Asian came, they couldn't even speak English. We came here as citizens, and all we did was build churches. We could have in that instance, we could have built schools. We could have built businesses.
True, but
Same way we build churches, we could have built schools. There's no difference.
But we came here with trades and stuff like that, and still ended up doing the menial jobs.
Yeah, because that's what we chose to do. The Jews, they came, they did something different. They work for themselves. They support each other by providing a service to each other. And in the end, they were able to provide services for other people. So I'm saying is we not learning.
So Desmond, when we came here, you think we chose to do those menial jobs?
No, our mentality was all in the wrong
that
place.
They laid out for us to get.
The people who came here in the 50s and 60s, their mentality was one of the enslaved. They were coming here to serve.
But it was already skilled. It was already skilled. But the government didn't want. They didn't
from my prospect, right?
They didn't want the skills that they brought over. They wanted you to work on the NHS, to work on the trains, work on the buses.
Yeah, slave mentality.
That was what they put to us.
Slave mentality.
Yes. Yeah, but that's what they put to us. It's not a case of
the work, even if you had the qualification.
They wouldn't give you the work. You had the qualifications, but you're still not going to get the job.
Well, you have to realize this. The Jamaicans saw this country as the motherland anyway. You know what I mean? So they would go along with what the motherland says.
I don't know about that, because I'm showing themselves as a person. That's not what they want. They must have tried a lot more before they agreed to say, well, that's the only thing I can do, put food on the table.
They were willing to work.
Let me speak for a second.
Most Caribbean countries
Let me
just finish this. most Caribbean countries actually see this country as the motherland anyway.
Because they were brainwashed.
Whether you like it or not, that's how they see. That's how they see it. Most Caribbean countries
to believe that.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, I've heard it from other people, from other Caribbean people. They say the same thing, and I hear it from other people. Say the same thing.
To an extent, yeah, that's true. Yes, back then as well. Back then, for real.
Streets are paved with
so
gold.
this is what
the streets are paved with gold.
This is what we're going through.
When I was in the West Indies, my grandmother used to say to me, Steve, when you go to England, the streets will be, the streets will be paved with gold. Even back then, they used to say that to me in the West Indies. You know what I'm saying? So I know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
This is what we're coming from. We're the descendants of these people who were programmed and brainwashed. You understand?
No, but because that's what you would insert. That's what they would be telling you out there, and that's what you'd be imagining. Even if you.
This is what our parents taught us, Norman. Our parents was brainwashed. They was conformist, blood.
No, but because
they conformed. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it never benefits some of them, but they conformed. At the end of the day, most of our parents are coming from poverty, so they've got low. They haven't got a lot of education anyway. You understand? And these are the people that we are the descendants of.
I wouldn't agree with the fact that they never had education. I wouldn't agree with that.
So when Desmond was talking,
I wouldn't agree with that either.
Okay, what I'm saying is that my parents came over here. My dad was a qualified engineer and my mum was a qualified nurse. When they left, my mum was a chef and my dad was a cook. And they had an entrepreneur, become entrepreneurs and made a business and then went back to yard.
Yes, but
so now, all right. You don't have to keep the mindset. You don't have to keep the slavery mind. Hold on a second. Look, you don't have to keep the slavery mindset. You have to keep the mindset of productivity and producing for your own people and to make something of yourself. Okay, with what you've got.
Everybody's
it doesn't matter about the amount of education you've got. It's your mindset.
That's
okay.
But even remember them in them time there.
Education can make you dumb.
In them time there, you remember in them time there back home, if you don't know your times table, man, I gotta tell you, so you're dumb and what happened to you and you're a fool. And so education was paramount back home.
Yeah.
And they come over in the windrush, they was interested. They knew. Yeah, they knew their thing.
Highly educated lady.
Virgin, at the end of the day, as you said, go on, Desmond.
Yeah, when they say sometimes black people don't learn. Now, every other group that I've seen come to Britain, they've invested more in education than the so-called African Caribbean, because we don't learn. We're quick to point out what's wrong, but we have no solution, because the only organization we seems to have is religious. And when you go to any of these churches, they tell you about a pie in the sky and all this kind of rubbish. But nobody is willing to sort of look at the services that are needed and provide those services. You take, for instance, I knew someone who was a shoemaker in the Caribbean. He came to Britain and he said, no, it was too cold. I'd rather go and work in a factory. Now, just saying that to say this, there was a research done and it showed that 4 out of 5 people that are wealthy, they inherit their wealth. Wealth is not an individual thing. Wealth is generational. So when you don't have... It's generational. When you don't have no one setting no foundation, there is nothing for you to build on.
That's right.
So when you have people that are setting foundation for their children, like when I saw these Asians, they would get their kids to work in their little corner shop and send them to university, and one by one they became professional till they no longer want to work in a shop because they're doctors and lawyers and engineers and so forth. They are the one, like the Jews, who equip themselves with the necessary technological skill, the engineering skill, so they now are the rulers of the world. technology.
Yes, right.
My
So Desmond, check it though. Hold on, Abdul. Sorry. So for those who have the money to do that, yeah, obviously they need to get an understanding of that and start pushing the education. But then for most of our people don't have the money. How are we going to get the money? We have to come together and understand these things and understand that we're going to have to donate. You understand?
Yeah,
we're going to have to support our own upliftment.
You can donate
this
time.
is the only thing. Yeah. We're going to donate in all aspects, but we need money to do these things. That's what everybody doesn't understand. It's like I don't think enough of us really understand this, because as we're talking about Black history, that's the topic of tonight's discussion, right? So if now we was to go to the to whichever anybody we're going to apply for some funding from, yeah, and we're going to say to them that we want funding to set up a school that is going to teach our boys and girls Black history. Do you think that they're going to grant us the funding to do that?
This is
I don't think so. So
this is why I'm sorry I have to come in here, because this is the kind of mentality I'm talking about. You're not talking about, for example, when I look, there was a firm called Marks and Spencer that was started by two Jewish guys pushing a handcart. So you think about setting up a school. Why would you want to think about go and beg local authority money? Why don't you charge people?
Exactly. No, that's what I'm
no,
saying.
What I'm
not saying to. I'm saying we shouldn't.
Self-sufficient. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you have to say use what you've got till you get what you want.
I'm not saying that we should, Desmond. I'm saying that so how we need to come together. You see, there's other areas that is wrong, which is stopping us from teaching our kids our real history, because the government is not going to support these initiatives. We have to develop these. We have to finance it. But then we have to come together. We have to come to this understanding. So talking about this is good, but other areas need to be discussed to give people the understanding to know this is the only way we're going to
Can I suggest something? Right, in this country, there are colleges and all this kind of training scheme going on. Now, if each person in this group will make a pledge to learn a new skill, that is the start of a revolution. Because you lead by example.
That's right. I think it starts small, doesn't it? Then it grows, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Nazi Party started from 7 people, and it ruled most of Europe for a while. So I'm saying it's always the minority that makes the difference. The majority are called followers.
Yes, I was going to say to Desmond that you brought up the church as well. As when I used to go to church, my pastor used to say to me that we have to suffer, to get in order to get into the kingdom of heaven.
You can keep
he says that the white man, without the white man, we wouldn't be where we are. He says,
Well, that's the slave mentality you're talking about. That's why
he has an MBE as well. He has an MBE.
Is that Thomas?
Yeah.
Mark, you got your hand up? You got something to say?
Well, so I don't know why it's so difficult for us as Black people, because when you check it out, right, there's thousands of small organizations, local groups all around the country. There's hundreds of thousands of them. Some of them, like your local football team, people pay their subs, people pay in, you know what I mean? And they just run regular with no drama, no big thing. It's just a simple thing. Pay your little money, come to the event, come to the group, come to the
Masons do that all the time.
Yeah, Masons, all sorts of organizations. There's millions of them all over the place.
But that's how they make their money.
But even us, even those little simple ones, we really even struggle, you know what I mean? Even to run the most simplest sort of community group is such a big problem, where I see all of these groups everywhere. I live in Hightown, and the Eastern Europeans, they've got groups all over the place. All over the place, in all the little church halls, they're in there now running boxing class, martial arts, this, that, all kind of things. The only time I ever see a community hall being used in Luton by black people, right? If it's a church, it's the only time. It's some church thing, some hollowing and bawling and crying out, looking for some savior. Yeah, everybody. So it's really interesting because, as I said, a lot of these things are not really that hard. A lot of these things, a lot of these. Hold on, let me just finish and I'll shut up. But I'm saying a lot of all of these sort of little projects and little things what people do run up and down the country are really not that difficult to do. So I don't know why we find it so hard to even come together as a few of us, even to run even a little simple project, a little simple event.
£1 every week, and you'll be surprised in a year how much you'll have to buy a building.
Huh?
Most of us.
If you had some format that you can deliver to the black people as us to know, only £1. Right, whatever, you know, and you prove it, because a lot of people have done things and they've been untrustworthy in it. That's why it's fall apart. Yeah, and there's a lot of people, the churches have done it and they've sustained it because they're doing everything right. But if we was to do it and could get a donation out of that over a period of a year, you'll have enough money to buy a building. You can teach them electronics. Who's good in what's his name? Any trade. They can be tutors to the new generation. We can make our own companies. We can do painting and decorating. We can do water, building.
Yeah, but what's stopping that all from happening? Because that's what should happen.
It's like
what's stopping it?
It's like we've been talking, right? It does take funds at the start, but with us to create something, you have to have a format where you can educate our black brothers and sisters to say, what's £1? You're gonna miss £1?
Yeah, but Norms, listen, Norms,
you lose £1 and you wouldn't think of it. There's so much.
What is even stopping then?
I tried to do
Norms,
that.
1 minute, 1 minute.
I tried to do that in 1993 at Simba. But people wouldn't trust each other. They had no trust. They would say, oh, they'll take the funds and they've done this, because other people had done organizing things like that and did do wrong with it. It takes the trust of the people, but £1, I would say, doesn't matter. You'd lose £1. But you'll be surprised that because they, at one time they had a building, Simba was a building, they got that for £1 from the council. And after having it over a period of 14 or 15 years, one of them decided, because he built the sound and that, and there were arguments between the 5 people that were, or 4 people that were involved. And then one came in after, which built the sound under the same brolly. But then the major player went and sold it for, I think, 300 or 280 something thousand at the time was good money. You can't buy the place for 8.5 million now.
All right, Norms, are you gonna donate to Juniper Tree then? I've got an organization, because listen, 1 minute, please. Listen. What we can see it anyway, but I'm just gonna go by Mandem Chat, Juniper Tree, these organizations, yeah. These things have shown me that even people that act like they're about doing and, you know, we need to build and all of that, these platforms have proved to me and shown me that people are liars, if I just speak straight, Bridget. So even when we're no, 1 minute, one minute, Norms, man. 1 minute, my brother, 1 minute. Because at the end of the day, we've had this group running for how long? Yeah, understand? And we're not donating. So even the knowers, even the one that like we're talking like, okay, this is what needs to be done, and if we don't do this, you know, then nothing will happen. Even them ones are not donating, my brother. So we've got Juniper Tree, and this is what we deal with. which is the financial part and the social part. You understand? That's what we're dealing with.
Where are
But
you?
no one's still not donating. But you see, everybody throws out. Listen, Norman, please. Listen. Everybody throws out the words so easily. But when it comes to giving up that pound, that £5, that £10, no, they're not doing it, Bridget. So obviously, what is that about them? What is that about us? What is going on in our mind, in our heart, in our consciousness? That even when we talk about this and we agree that these is the ways, why do we still not do it? What is going on? Is there some form of hypnosis on us or something? Because there's a lot of us talk. Mark said that there's loads of groups in Luton. You understand? But yet still the groups can't come together. But everybody's trying to do something in the community. But the groups can't come together anyway. So how is those groups gonna initiate anything that's gonna build a community?
You have to go to the old days. You have to go out to the people and be able to talk. It's not about no aggression. It's about talking and getting them we can influence them in some form of way. It's going to be a difficult task because of the way the generation is today. But that's the only way you can come across. And when other people see that, that's the only strength you can get to say, you know what, I don't mind giving a tenner once a month. It's no big deal.
Well,
but I do think,
it's true. You could actually go out in the streets as well to a campaign as well, couldn't you? You know what I'm saying? Little stuff like that.
Exactly. But you're trying to get not just a reaction, but you're trying to get a communication with the people, and also
there's 7 of us here.
So the people can at least draw.
There's 7 of us. There's 7 of us in there, Norms, tonight. Yeah.
That is where
there's 7 of us in there.
I think because we just doing it on network like everybody is. That can happen at time, but we have to show some form of reality.
All right, listen again, Norms. It's because look, there's 7 of us on here now tonight. Yeah. I'm not saying we don't agree on certain things, and we have got the same mind when it comes to certain things, but everybody would still want to do it individual. Even out of the 7, maybe 2 or 3 out of this 7 would do something, would take their time out to go and raise money, create awareness about juniper tree, I'm gonna say, yeah. And so when they're talking about these donations, it's coming back to one pot, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 1 or 2 out of us 7 will do that. You understand? And it's for a one cause. What's going to happen again here today, yeah, is that we're going to talk what we're going to talk, but we're all going to go off in our own individual, zone and feel like we can do it. But I'm a one man. So I've got my rent to pay. I've got 9 sons and a daughter. Not that I mind all of them, but I have to, and got my things to deal with them myself to look after. So it's very well and good us saying that, yeah, we need to go out into the community. Of course we need to go out in the community. But how much time have I got? How much time has every individual got to go and stand in that town and try and interact and spark a conversation? 1 minute, man, 1 minute, my Bridget.
And that to do, we have to have a form where if we have a timer, nothing's got to be. Even if we was to get the
listen.
People, we can generate the younger to do the same thing. We say, okay, you go there and expose it as we taught you and everything. Yeah, and then
but we was just saying about us doing it. We got to lead by example.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we've got to start from. Who's it going to start from? So hold on, 1 minute, Norms. So now what are we going to? Oh, gosh, man, one at a time, man. Is it going to? So now we say, are we going to say it's the youths now that we got to teach to do it, or are we going to try and lead by example? Which I think Desmond was saying that there's how many of us on here tonight. We should all commit ourselves to learning a new skill or trade or whatever. Do you understand? So what are we doing again? Passing the buck to say, oh, let the youth them do it, we've got to freaking do it, my
No,
brethren.
no, we're not
We
talking
got to do
about
it.
that. If
So,
you
so
haven't got the,
Norman, please,
it's about building
man,
a
please,
community.
man. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we're
We're
together here on Zoom.
Hold on, one at a time. One at a time. Hold on.
Norman, come on, man. One minute. At the end of the day, look where we're together. I've got my iPad here. 7 people. We're together on an iPad. When this shut off, whenever we decide to close tonight, how much contact all 7 of us are going to have with each other up till the next week? What are we going to do collectively? Huh? That's going. What money we're going to raise? What idea?
Make a suggestion.
Yeah. What are you looking to raise? The man said.
Yeah. Make a suggestion, innit?
Yeah. Ox thing there.
Thing there? What that?
Beanie.
Oh.
1 minute, Norms. Let Desmond talk,
No,
man.
I'm just saying.
Stop, man. Stop.
Well, brethren, you're complaining and saying nobody ain't doing nothing. Now, I do what I do and I know what I do, so I don't have to justify myself to anyone. But if I see a brethren trying to do a thing that I can help with, I'll do that. But I'm not going to go my way.
Remember.
No, I'm saying is if I see a brethren trying to do something and I can contribute to that, if I can, because it may be different levels of contribution, then if I think that's a positive idea. Now, I try to set up a Saturday school here in Bedford, and to my surprise, nobody was interested. I have to think maybe they didn't want to work with me. But I know the need exists, that there is a need for community support, but it's getting the right people in the right place at the right time. So although you have people with, say, educational skill or trade skill, it's getting those people to realize firstly that there is a need and that they have something that they could offer. That is the challenge, because most of the time people are only interested in their own program.
All right.
But I believe,
one minute, B.
I
We're gonna wrap up
believe though,
soon,
if we
so
had a building,
hold on, B. We're gonna wrap up soon. So B, tell them about Juniper Tree before we wrap up. Go ahead.
Well, you don't know. You know, I don't want to talk about Juniper Tree. I want to get this flyer together and certain information together that I can present to the people. You understand? But Juniper Tree is about the economical aspect, social aspect also of our community. So it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter what anybody says we need, or they was doing, no one was coming, or I want to do that and did it and done it and blah, 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 whatever. Everything is gonna take money, because when we're talking about the development of our community, the powers that be don't want this. They are not gonna support this. You understand? What we need that is gonna save us and save our children, they are not gonna finance this. So we gotta know in ourselves that, you know, everybody's got whatever they got to offer, but a little finances needs to be included in that, and everybody needs to know that, and don't give no excuses for that, because we've all got vices. You understand? We all do things loosely that, you know, we could cut out or lessen. You understand? So we need to make a sacrifice with understanding, you get me, of our situation. It's not even a joke. Do you understand? And this is what needs to be done. So Juniper Tree asks is that people donate. Boy, I did say £20 a month, which is 71 pence a day. But if someone can only afford £10, give £10. If you can only afford £5 a month, give it. But it's got to be consistent. You understand? And if you do the figures on
what's the Simon
how much.
What's the Simon objective?
Huh?
I mean, what is the aim and objective of Juniper Tree?
Yeah, but I just said it's about tackling the economical and the social aspect of our community, which is about.
That's too abstract.
No, it's not too wide. It's about providing. It's about providing. You know, first thing we'd like to have a building, a social hub, a safe place where our community can come. From there, we can, you know, put together activities. We can run workshops. You know what I mean? We can give classes. You understand? We can organize, providing our community and whoever else wants to use it, goods and services that we can provide to our community. We can, you know, help our seniors. We can help our underprivileged with different projects and schemes. But no matter what, money is gonna take it. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, go on.
Right. Now you keep talking about money. Money is not the first thing you need in an organization. The first thing you need in an organization is people. People have money. Money don't have people.
I know.
And money is merely a nexus. So if you get money, you have to go and buy the skill you need. So you need people, then you need skill, and you need resources. So I'm saying is without people, none of it makes sense. Because how do you justify providing a service that has no people?
You have to go out there and educate them what you're doing. For them
of course, we've got to do that. But this is the start of what needs to be done, isn't it? But one man can't do it. The point of this is to try and get a group of us that shares this understanding and promotes this, creates awareness about this. You understand? One man, how much grounds can I cover? When I tell you, say I've got to work, I've got to do this, I've got to do that to look after myself and take.
Right, so try and make it a bit more specific, because when things are a bit more specific, people
at the end of the day,
more likely to get
Desmond. The first, like I said, the first thing that I would want to do, yeah, is with these donations, we need a central hub. We need a safe place, a community center, whatever you want to call it. We need this. Yes, within this, there's going to be how many activities and services and things going on, education, all kind of things happening within this place. It's easy if you just think of what we need as a community, starting from ground level up. It's kind of easy to think if we got a community center, what the community center would provide. But we also got a side of the community, because like the community center.
Well, that's why.
Because like I said, 1 minute, Norms. Because like I said, 1 minute, Norms, please.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, because like I said, this is about economics. Right. It's about providing economics.
And one of the first positions that Juniper Tree is going to take up is a food bank. Yes, B.
It's dealing with economics.
You're breaking up.
Providing goods and services.
But Marvin, economics is a very wide topic.
Can help us tend to our seniors. Yeah, I mean, deal with education schemes and people going through energy crunch, one central hub. And then park without the Asians do it. They fill that very park.
All these things can occur from it, right? But what you got to understand, right? The first thing you got to do, you got to go and do your own homework and stuff like that. If you want to work in that, if we're working as a unity, then we can sit down together and we can.
I've done my homework, man. We've seen this our whole life.
The first thing you would have done was try and see.
Yeah, but we're community building.
And whatever
it costs, point, you're missing.
You can make it.
One minute, Norms.
One at a time, guys. One at a time. Go ahead, B.
Norman. What I'm talking about, could you do this on your own?
No, I'm not saying, but you keep
this takes. Well, if you're cutting it, but you're not seeing.
You can't say that, Marvin, because I've only just heard about it. Whether I've heard of it, I don't know of it. Now you've just told me that you've just created that, right? And you want us to come on board, but and then you're explaining why you can't do it on your own, because you have your own life and your family to deal with, which is understandable. I'm not disagreeing with it. But then if you want it in motion like that.
But which one man did it on his own, Norman? Which one man did it on his own?
Things on their own. I can guarantee you, I've known a few men in Ladbroke Grove. I know a few men.
All right. Well, that's all right. Norms. Well, that's taking it wider than what we're dealing with here.
No, but don't say that. Don't say that.
Don't see Norms. Come on, man. Let's shrink
Yeah,
it
but I'm
down.
being
Let's
real
shrink
to
it down.
you.
We're dealing with the
Okay,
issues.
One at a time, one at a time.
All I'm saying to you, the first issue you have to deal with, because you know that, and we know of it. If this is as serious or what you're saying to us, right? And we was to sit down and agree and come into a group of us trying to work on this, it's a different matter. But when you're saying, if I was to do something like that, now I would sit down and think to myself, I wonder if I can get a community centre somehow from the council, one building or something, and go with that, with what I'm saying, and they give it to me. And if it's a small cost, and I can get the donation by now, going to the people and dealing with it, because this is all the realities that has to be done. Well, you can't sit there and I say, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but I can't do it on my own. And we don't know what you're doing.
Norman,
So how are you going to get donation?
Desmond said,
how are you going to get donation?
1 minute, Norms. Desmond said,
on people that don't know. And they got no trust.
One at a time. Norman.
There's nothing to, you know.
Yeah, but Norms, you've been sitting in the whole near enough the whole time. When Skip said say about Junior Petrie, I said I didn't even want to go into that because I'm putting together certain information to present to the people. But at the end of the day, I don't see what's surprising to me is that I have to go into so much detail. I need to, put together some information, present it to the people properly. Of course I do. But it's surprising to me how much detail everybody wants for something that we've seen near enough, well, my whole life. This is what's crazy. So by now, I'm 47. We're all whatever age we are. Do we 1 minute, Norms, man? You was just saying for how long, my brother? Please, man. Let me talk. Yeah. I'm surprised to see that people just don't see it's us that's gonna do this. You understand? So when Skip said that, and I said I didn't want to say nothing because I haven't got things put together properly, but this is about I'm mentioning it to people because obviously I want people to share that same view.
This is
that
why
same
I mentioned
opinion. So there's more than me. There's more, yeah.
This is why I mentioned it, B, because at the end of the day, everyone's talking about economics and what we should be doing. I want them to know that we have something, we've got an organization that we're trying to put together. And what the mission was, you know? And not to feel like
to be put together better and so
we're organizing that and putting that together, that's all.
Yeah, but the thing is what I feel is that I feel that
1 minute, Abdul, because
Black said his hand up. Yeah, his hand up. Go ahead, Black.
1 minute, Abdul, to cut you.
Right,
Go on,
you're
Blacks.
talking about an organization, community organization that is going to do all these activities and provide cultural experience and give all the services that are required for our community to thrive and strive, to continue on to excellence. I've been running the CDMA for 25 years in this community, and it's still running now. It's never stopped. It's on. You can go to the website right now, www.cdma.uk.com, and see for yourself what we've been doing and still continue to do. We've got curriculum. We've got a workshops nearly every year. We've been doing workshops for the children, and we provide services to hundreds of people, and we provide services to dozens of parents, providing education, spiritual upliftment, and physical activity for their youths in 9 different sections, 9 initiatives. We've got 28 members in our committee. We've got 3 trustees. We've got the ACCL Community Fund, which is the African Caribbean Community in Luton Fund that has been going for 10 years so far, 12 years so far. And we've got 3 trustees for that the 3 trustees from the CDMA are in that as well. And we have been asking the community to donate and donate for years. The community don't donate. They just don't do it, right? You have to have flesh in the game. They have to see that their children are going in there and the productivity that's coming out. I've been producing for years and I still have to go and get funding from government and funding from outside people to finance the business. Now, the last time we had an actual proper building was 2016, a proper building, but we've been in Marsh House for time. We've been in Marsh Farm Community Development since 2002. So we've been in the Coulter building running things from there. People know that I do free running, I do Kung Fu, I do real education, LE free running, the martial arts. Everything's going on for years. Now, if you want to say you're going to help me out with the other members of this, like you say, no one does this by themselves. I didn't do none of this by myself. Right,
you know, I knew you was
I'm the head of it.
That, you know,
but what I'm saying is that you if you're not continually not going to recognize what I'm doing to raise your own thing, obviously people are in this group are not going to say, okay, let me fund you as well as me. You know what I mean? Because I need help for my
support for support. It's support for support. It's support for support.
I need my help for my group, which I know is working and is providing a service already.
Yeah,
why would I go now and donate to another group that's not even started yet?
Yes, I agree. I agree with that.
My group, you can go and look me up. You can see what I've done. You can ask a million people in Luton what I do, right? And yet I've got no black people, my people, supporting me. I have to go to white man to find funds to go and get a building, so I can reintegrate the community that has been lost from me not having a building back into the group. And we can, I'm trying to find a building so we can all operate from there. All the community groups can operate from there.
But listen.
Are any of you helping me in this group? No.
No.
That's correct.
But at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about. This is what needs to be done. But Juniper Tree is not mine.
I've been doing it. Where's your support for my group?
Yeah.
You're talking about your group now, and then you haven't talked about my group. Let me talk about my group then. What are you doing for me?
Yeah. I just said that I ain't doing nothing at the moment.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying to you. So why are you going to ask people?
But I've sent someone to you before, right? And you had
there's 7 people in this group.
Hold on.
I'm one of them.
You've had MDC has referred people to your Kung Fu classes, Bridget.
Yeah, it's right. 2 people.
Wow, I just do Kung Fu classes. That's what Victor does.
Better than nothing, man. Better than nothing.
Talking about the CDMA. We have 9 initiatives.
Right, no,
one of them is martial arts.
Yeah.
One of them is martial arts division.
Yeah.
One of them is martial arts division.
All right,
So we referred two people
listen,
to your martial arts classes.
Listen.
So
anybody else that we find
Blabs, do you have any donations?
1 minute,
So you don't have any donations then?
1 minute, brother.
Coming in.
If we have anybody else that comes, we
I have
refer them
donations
same
coming
way.
in all the time.
Yeah.
You hear that,
but
Blabs?
not how we're supposed to be getting them. So if we're going to do anything of any substance, like we have to. That's why I'm launching the app. I'm launching an app in November, which will bring in constant funds, okay, to do with it. But from the app, you have to provide something. You can't just get people spending on your app for nothing. They have to get a service from you, and that's what we're providing on the app. You understand? So you can't just say, yo, we're trying to do something nice here, please donate. It's not going to happen. You have to show and prove what you've been doing. And I've been doing it for time, and it's still hard for me to get donations.
Yeah,
very hard.
Yes, Matt.
Yeah, it's not easy. I know it's not gonna be easy.
Can I say something? I remember when I was in the Black Panthers in the old days, right? And when they weren't getting funded by nobody, but what they were doing they were going out there and educating people. So when they came into a committee, these people started donating towards it to keep that building. And then they started schooling people. So they were doing fundraising. They were keeping, even if it had to be a dance or whatever.
Yeah.
Going all around doing fundraising, even functions. And it was going towards that.
When I had a building, people donated like crazy. When I had the building and people were coming in all the time, every day, there was a donations pot there and people were putting in money like crazy, and it was tied over everything.
But what I'm trying to say,
I had to have a building first.
They were even doing a lot of functions, but having a lot of functions, whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's what we were doing.
And these
we're
people
providing loads of services then.
You're building a community because you've got a building, like what's the name was just saying?
Blacks,
right? And because you have that facility, just that alone, it means a lot, and that's the attraction.
Exactly. You can't just ask people for money and done.
Yeah, that's true, because
you have to provide them something that they can put into.
After all the past
time,
right? Some people are untrustworthy, especially the older generation. Maybe not the younger generation. We have to educate them. But what I'm trying to say, that is why, because older folks would have done that. They said, £5 once in a blue moon, I can put it there. But when you generate that over a period, you'll be surprised how much it is and what you could do with it. But you have to have other functions. That's how people were doing it. You have certain functions and you take the money from that and you do these things. You get the building, you get the council behind that. I'll take that building at a low rate.
The council.
No, but you know what I'm saying. That's the only way, unless you can afford
to. But the council's not behind us, Norman. So when you're saying that as an option, it seems like that's not an option. So then what is our only option?
They might be.
Yeah, but that don't seems to be an option, my brethren. It was the council that freaking took away all of the youth clubs.
Yeah,
from our community.
If it's been managed, right? And
that's an option. So we got to think of what are practical options, what are real options. The council is not an option, my brethren. So
okay, then you'll have to
guys,
you'll have
we're
to
gonna
get
be wrapping up now, you know. So just put it in a nutshell, Norms, if you can.
You'll have to just do I think you need to organize certain things, and that's the way you can generate money. And then
it's like I'm talking to myself in there. I organize stuff all the time, events. When I had the building, the reason why I got the building is what you should be asking me, how I got the building.
Yeah.
That's what you should be asking me. How did you get the building, Blacks, that you could get these donations and all these events could go on in it and all these people could be helped from it? How you aren't asking me that?
Because I think you got it privately and then you went to the council.
Oh my God. Did you ask me then? You just assumed.
No, because I can imagine how you are from
No.
Imagine whatever you want. Do you know yet?
No,
all right,
because you haven't asked me yet.
All right, well, hold on.
All right, good night, folks.
Tell us how.
Hold on, then.
I'm glad you asked.
Flaps, how did you get the building?
Thank you very much for asking. This is what happened. I was approached by a people called the Healthy Planet. They are a charity. The charity can get a building owned by any landlord, whatever, any person that owns a building, whatever, landlord, whatever.
Yeah.
And they get a discount on their business rates if there's a community group going on in an unused building of theirs. They get 80% off. And that's how I got that building. I was approached because I was the community group. So when I went into the building, I had full use of the building. I didn't pay electric, water, rates, any damn thing.
Is that Warriors Workshop?
No, this was the CDMA in Town Centre. The Warriors Workshop.
The one by Deadlands.
The Warriors Workshop, I paid out of my own money, earned from having a combat club for weekends leading up to that. When come to the CDMA, the Community Development through Martial Arts Academy, that was in the Yorkshire Bank in Town Centre. That was 2014 to 16.
Right.
We were in there 2 years, delivering. It was the most beautiful, awesome place. Music was played there. We used to have Black History every Wednesday. We had musicians coming in from the street, the buskers and everything, coming in every week to come and play there. It was beautiful. You can see all the videos and the pictures of the place and what we did in there online. You can see what we did. It's all catalogued. I was on the radio so many times, TV and everything came in there, right? So now when we were in there delivering, we were getting the donations left over, hand over fist. People loved the place, but that's how we got it. Now, I don't know if the method is still available, because the Healthy Planet, they decided to do some utter ridiculousness, because they were on 12,000 a year before they got this loophole. The guy that run the Healthy Planet, which was a green initiative, they didn't want to have books going into landfill. They asked me to give away books for free. And I love books so much. I was like, where's the catch? Who do I have to kill? Right? So I was there getting books every day for myself. So we were giving out 5 books a day to anyone that came in. So we must have given away about 7,000 books in the 2 years we were there. Right? And people used to donate books and toys and all kinds of stuff there. All the time. Universities will come in and the students to finish now, they give up all their books. It's brilliant. So now I've got enough of them books. So now the Healthy Planet people that are running it went from 12,000 a year to 9 million a year. Right. Because they had enough of these places up and down the country. And then they decided, well, you have to get rid of 5% of your money if you're a charity every year. So they couldn't get rid of 5%. They didn't have enough projects going on to get rid of 5%. So they had to start thinking of anything. Hey, you over there in the corner, what, you got an idea? Yeah, we could do some non-smoking thing that would cost. How many leaflets do you want to do? About 5,000. How much is going to cost you? I don't know, 150 quid. No, that's no good. I'll give you 140,000 to deliver 5,000 leaflets. And they were doing stupidness like that. So obviously they were thieving the money left, right, and center. So they got closed down. And so now the building had to be let out to a proper letter. And that's why you got the ice cream people in there now, who are Asian.
Right. Okay. That's the history.
Anytime you want, when they came in to look at the building before they got the building, go ahead. And who are they related to in Luton to get that place? Why did they get my place? Why did they come after my place? There's plenty of other buildings they could have gone to.
So why did they come after yours?
I'm glad you're asking these wonderful questions, because they're related to the same people who are doing the same thing as me.
Oh.
Yeah. This is how I'm telling you. The bottom line is because the council does not give a damn about us.
Bottom line is because we don't own and control nothing. That's why
we have to own the building.
We don't own no property. That's why. Exactly.
Absolutely right, Marvin. We have to own the building.
Making enough money to be able to buy your own building, they can never throw you out.
Who tells you that? Who tells you this stuff? We don't have enough money. Who tells you this?
I didn't say we don't have enough money. I said it's about us generating money like that to buy your own building.
You don't have to have money to get a commercial building. I just showed you that. We're not together enough. I'm right here doing everything you're talking about which needs to be done, and no one is supporting me. Not one of you has done something for me. Oh, you directed someone. You know how many people come up to me and ask me about kung fu lessons every day? Jesus Christ.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like support I'm talking about is not just getting someone to do a kung fu lesson.
Don't try and fob that one.
It's not easy.
2 is better than 0, brother. 2 is better than 0.
Fob that one off, blacks. We're not, NDC ain't allowing it.
We're not.
Marvin, immature.
We are grateful.
I'm grateful, shocking. I'm grateful, shocking.
I already said thanks to everyone that ever sent me anything.
All
so
right.
don't worry about that.
That's the first time I.
But that's
the first time you've heard it.
In a nutshell, Blacks, what have you got actually running now at the moment?
Hold on. Go on, Mark.
Blacks, what's actually running at the moment so we can feedback?
Everything. 9 initiatives.
Huh?
Right. The initiatives are being run at Orbital, Jump, Orbital,
Yeah, what's that?
at Marsh House and online.
Okay.
Right, you got the Martial Arts Anti-Bullying Collective, that's run in schools as well. Right, after school. Okay, you've got the Warriors Life classes, that's run after school and in martial arts classes. You got Black's Philosophy, which is run online on Zoom lessons.
So the anti-bullying thing, what kids come together, parents, what is it? I don't
know. The kids come to the class after the school. They get referred to me.
Yeah.
Right. So now if you just want to teach your child martial arts, that's fine, self-defense, and you learn the Warriors Life classes, which are the ethics and morals of a martial artist, alongside the martial arts classes after school. And I get referrals from the school saying this guy's a problem, this guy's getting bullied. We put them all in the same class and help them out, and the parents are alongside us helping them. We got Ambition Development, which is about small business development. That's online and in Marsh House.
Are they all free, are they free or they have to pay?
No, the courses are not free. No, nothing's free in life these days, bro. Nothing. But like when we get funding, that's when we'll be able to provide it for free, because the funding would subsidize it. But when people are coming in from the outside and they're not part of the community group and stuff like that, they'll get charged. They'll be asked for a donation, which is a mandatory donation is of whatever money they want. But that's when you got other business connected to it, that's how you have to keep it going. So we sell merchandise, t-shirts, mugs, t-shirts, all on the website, right? When I have to redo the website because it's blocked off now, the SSL is locked off for the shop, so I have to sort that out. When it goes to Ambition Development, we do small business. So we go to the LE Free Runners, that's in Orbital. When we got to Stunt and Film Elite, which is a feeder system to the Pinewood Studios. We've got a director he's not in Turkey anymore. He's now working on not James Bond. What's the name? Mission Impossible. That's the one. He's working on Mission Impossible. So now we feed to Pinewood Studios. We get any career the children want to get involved in. We train them to do it in the Stunt and Film Elite at Orbital and in Marsh House. We teach them how to act as well. Okay, so everything's career driven towards entertainment industry, which I say we prevail in. We are awesome in the entertainment industry. We also do a hip hop historian game show once a year, which is a game show, literally a game show, which we have children going against each other in dance, rapping, graffiti, DJing, and performance. So now when we got a building, we can do all this under one roof. And the last time that was being done was in the CDMA Academy. We had both floors. We had 8,000 square foot. We had 5 martial arts being taught there. Okay, so when we got everything going, the martial artists can come downstairs and go into the community side of it and learn Black history and how to run a stock exchange and play chess and understand Connect 4 and all
That's
these
good.
kind of it was
good.
unbelievable.
So what is your website again? What is your website called again?
CDMA, www.charlie-delta-mike-alpha.uk.com. Right, and it's got 1,000 hits a week on this website. 1,000 hits a week, and we're Martial Arts Center is part of it again. And you've got the teaching that we do for the ambition development that we go up and down the country. I get sent up and down the country, Birmingham, London, everywhere. And we've got the same template being used in 17 different countries right now.
That's good stuff.
Right, and we've got all these, when we do events, we've got 55 registered volunteers. When we've got the teaching going on, we've got 29 teachers teaching 75 different subjects. Like I said before, my main memory from that when we had the building was that my daughter got taught Japanese at my place. We had people coming in to learn maths. People had to do drumming lessons with me. You know what I mean? All this kind of stuff. Photography lessons I used to do there as well. So all this manner of stuff was going on under one roof, and it was sheer bliss. The place was so thoroughly awesome. People used to open the door on the threshold and stop to say, like, what the hell? This is all hustle and bustle behind me, but
So
in
what
here
happened
is
to all of
paradise.
that?
Pardon?
What happened to all of it?
Like I said, the Healthy Planet closed down. The charity that was providing the building, they closed down, so we had to come out. And then they got a normal person coming there and rented out the building now.
Right.
So that side of yours crashed.
Yeah.
But
So
the
I
organisation-
went in 2019. I was trying to get a building, which was 36,000 square foot, and I asked for 250 grand from two different community funders, and they were collaborating together. They were to provide the funds, and they were about to put the $250,000 in my palm, but the landlord wouldn't give us more than 5 years because in his head we were going to sort out his building to get our stuff getting and done in it, and they would dash us out after 5 years. So the people were saying, we can't give you $250,000 to run your stuff here just to give it back.
But couldn't you have drawn it out in the contract in a proper way where that would not happen?
Oh, we did that. We went to the lawyers 17 times, I think. Oh my God, but at least 10 times. Put it that way, I'm exaggerating, but at least 10 times. Going back and forward to the landlord, the lawyers, for about a year to get the contract done properly. And he wouldn't give us more than 10 years. And they said, look, if you got 10 years, we would have give you 50 grand, not 250. So we need something like 25-year plus. We need to see that grandchildren are going to be able to go there. They need to see money for power, bang for their buck, basically. So when you go to funders, you have to come serious. You have to show them all the committee members' life, what they're going to be doing once it's running there. You have to show them your aims, your objectives. You have to understand. You have to show them everything. We got a nursery going on there. We had Ofsted coming to check it out. We had Kumbar Nursery was going there.
You had an auditor.
Sorry?
You had an auditor.
You have
Yes,
to.
of course you have an auditor. You have
When you're getting donation like that.
when you're dealing with charities and when you're dealing with trustees and funding of over £250,000, if your shit ain't in triplicate and double checked and triple checked, and you got DBS for every single member and everything, they're not even entertaining you, bro.
That's true.
They're not even entertaining you. They won't even turn up. They're about to put the money in my hand and say, can you get more than 5 years? And they'll go to the landlord. He goes, I could probably do 10 because it's his own building. It's his personal building.
They will audit you for even 10 grand, bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to do two audits in August. They both come within a day of each other. Stress me. I said, Pussy Clark.
I'm telling you, they need your inside ligament and your blood type. Over 10 grand. I got 10 grand from lottery. It's a big thing to me at the time.
Yeah.
And the amount of holes I had to go through, hoops I had to jump through to get 10 grand was amazing. So now, in 2019 now, $250,000 about to put in my hand. And then I was like, the landlord stiffed us. And then March come 2020 and we had lockdown. Right? So we dodged a bullet for 2 years now. 3 years now.
Yeah, you were lucky there.
So now I'm trying to go to get funding again to get that same funding to get a better building, a different building that we can get 25-year lease from. All this stuff will be done under one roof. And you know what? When it gets going, it won't be just the CDMA. It'll be the 15, 20 odd different community groups that we had lined up to go in there. We had chefs, cooks, we had studio people, we had everything going there. It was going in there to provide all the services. You can't do it by yourself. Like Marvin said, you can't do it by yourself.
Cool, true. All right, I'm going to stop recording there now. It's about 2 hours of recording, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for popping by still.
All right.
Yeah.